Hey there, and welcome. So you want to start the keto diet, but you want to do it the right way from the get-go? Perfect. Today, we're going to break down a super simple, straightforward method that's just perfect for beginners.
Okay, so let's just get right to the heart of it. The entire goal of keto really boils down to this one simple question. Are you running on sugar or are you running on fat? Think of your body like a hybrid car. We're just trying to get it to switch from one fuel source to the other.
And that brings us to our first big idea, this concept of the fuel switch. This isn't really about counting calories, not in the old school way. It's about fundamentally changing where your body gets its energy from.
So, how does that switch actually work? Well, it turns out there's a master switch, and it's a hormone called insulin. It's pretty simple, actually. When your insulin levels are high, your body is locked into sugar-burning mode. It has to deal with the sugar first. But when insulin levels are low, your body flips that switch and says, okay, time to burn our own body fat for energy. The entire game is just learning how to keep that insulin switch in the down position. So the million-dollar question is, how do you do that? How do you lower insulin? You know what? It's not as complicated as you might think. It all comes down to two and only two major levers you can pull. Number one, lower your carbs. Number two, eat less often. That's it. Seriously, you get these two things right and you are well on your way to turning your body into a fat-burning machine.
So let's get practical and see how this works, starting with that very first lever, what you're actually putting on your plate. We are going to build the perfect keto meal, step by step.
You know, this right here shows you that keto isn't about deprivation at all. It's just about making smart swaps. Yeah, you got to avoid the obvious stuff like sugar, most fruits, grains, and starches. But for pretty much everything you're giving up, there's an awesome keto-friendly alternative. You can't have wheat flour? No problem. Almond flour makes incredible bread and even pizza crusts. Can't have potatoes? You'd be amazed at what you can do with cauliflower. It's a game changer. Okay, a really quick but super important note on fats. Yes, keto is a higher fat diet, but the quality of the fat you eat is absolutely crucial. You want to stay far, far away from these highly processed inflammatory seed oils. You'll find them hiding in tons of stuff like salad dressings and mayonnaise, so you're going to have to become a bit of a label detective.
So what should be filling up most of your plate? It all starts right here. The foundation of a healthy keto meal is a massive serving of low-carb vegetables. And I mean massive. We're talking at least 7 cups a day. This is where you get all those crucial nutrients like potassium and magnesium, plus all the fiber to keep your gut microbes happy. And here's a little pro tip, a simple strategy that makes a huge difference. Eat your veggies first. If you start with your big salad or your steamed broccoli, you guarantee that you're getting all those micronutrients in before you start feeling full from the other stuff.
Okay, after the veggies, it's time for some protein. But notice the word here, moderate. This is a huge misconception about keto. It's not an all-you-can-eat meat diet. A good rule of thumb is to aim for a portion about the size of your palm. That's usually somewhere between 3 and 8 ounces of things like meat, fish, eggs, or cheese. And listen up, because this part is critical. The type of protein you choose really matters. See, lean, low-fat protein sources, and especially things like whey protein powder, can actually cause a pretty big insulin spike. You know, the very thing we're trying to avoid. So choosing protein that naturally has more fat with it, like a nice ribeye steak, some salmon, or a high-fat cheese like brie, is way better for keeping that insulin nice and low.
And finally, step 3 is to round out your meal with even more healthy fats. This could be some olive oil drizzled on your salad, a nice pat of butter melting over your vegetables, or maybe some avocado on the side. This fat does 2 amazing things. First, it helps you absorb all the vitamins from your veggies, and second, it's the key to feeling full and satisfied for hours and hours, which is going to make the next part so much easier.
All right, so we've totally nailed down what to eat. But remember, that's only half the equation. Now we have to talk about that second, equally important lever for lowering insulin, when you eat.
And this is where intermittent fasting comes in. And look, the rules are really simple. Rule number 1, only eat when you are genuinely physically hungry, not just because the clock says it's time or because you're bored. Rule 2, try to skip breakfast and push your first meal later in the day. And rule number 3, this one is non-negotiable, absolutely no snacking between your meals. Every time you snack, even on keto foods, you're spiking insulin.
And I love this quote because it's the perfect troubleshooting tool. If you feel that urge to grab a snack, just stop for a second. It's not a failure of your willpower. It's just a signal from your body. All it's telling you is that your last meal didn't have enough healthy fat. So the solution isn't to snack now, It's to remember to add more fat to your next meal.
Okay, so we've got the what and we've got the when. Let's put all these pieces together and just walk through what a typical day on keto might actually look like.
So this is a really common and super effective schedule. You might start your day at 8 a.m. with a coffee. Maybe you add some butter or MCT oil to it to help you stay full. Then, you're not eating your first actual meal until noon. Your second meal is at 6 p.m., and then you're done for the day. This simple setup creates a nice, tight 6-hour eating window and a powerful 18-hour fasting window where your insulin stays rock bottom and your body is just in full-on fat-burning mode.
Okay, as we start to wrap things up here, let's just boil everything we've talked about down to the absolute essential takeaway.
Honestly, if you forget everything else from today, just remember this. Starting keto the right way and really being successful all comes down to managing these two things. If you pull these two levers, you lower your carbs by building your plate the right way, and you eat less often by practicing some fasting, you will lower your insulin, and you will switch your body's fuel source over to fat. It's that simple. And so I'll just leave you with this final thought to chew on. We are so often completely obsessed with the details of what food we're putting in our bodies. But is it possible that the timing, when we choose to eat, and more importantly, when we choose not to eat, is an equally powerful, if not maybe even more powerful tool for our health? Something to think about.